Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So congratulations on the film. I watched it yesterday.
Thank you.
Great fun. Great fun. This must have been great fun for you guys as well. It seemed like it was a really, really fun film to make.
It was really fun working with my dad. I mean, my dad is like such a trickster. It's always fun. He's a very fun person. But I've witnessed him on set many times, but it was the first time I was actually involved. So it was really fun.
Was this something you always wanted to do with Dad and with
Mum
potentially as well?
God, no, absolutely not. I really didn't want anyone to even know that I was related to them. Not because I don't love them. They're so talented. I'm so proud to be related to them. But when I was younger, I really wanted to have my own experience of acting, and I would never have believed that I would do this.
What twisted your arm then? What was it that twisted your arm this time?
Oh, nothing twisted my arm at all. It was just kind of growing up and realizing that, because I think when I was younger, it maybe prevented me from feeling like I could have my own identity. But now that I get older and I'm more secure in my identity, it feels like this really cool thing that we get to actually use as a tool. And we get to use it to deepen the relationship of these characters and to deepen the, just on a meta level, deepen the film, And it feels like it was a really interesting opportunity as an actor to also play someone that was close to my life, play my dad's daughter, the daughter of the band that my dad's playing. It was a really trippy, exciting, fun puzzle to solve. And I really had nothing but excitement about it. But I think when I was a teenager, if you told me that this would happen, I would be like, no.
Did it make it doubly fun and kind of even more sweet for you, I guess, with your dad? The fact that on screen you're playing the same kind of relationship in terms of that you're father-daughter on the screen as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because the way that I created that Jamie, my character, kind of wasn't really involving my actual father at all, but it's cool. I think it added another layer to the relationship with the characters, just for the audience to know that we did have that real life, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to ask you before I ask you about your dad is Luke Goss. Now, did you know who he was, and did you know that he was in a boy band in the 90s? Did he tell you this? My dad told me he was in a boy band. Okay.
And that's amazing. Yeah, he's lovely.
They were a big deal in the 90s in the UK. They had a few had a few quite substantial hits. So I just wondered whether, it came up, because it's strange that they now are, he's now a big actor, and his brother's been acting and also been on the stage. He's like Britain's version of Hugh Jackman. It's pretty insane.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about this, but the quarantine is kind of revealing all these other skills that people have, and people, because no one has a job right now, you don't have to do anything just because you're being paid to do it. People are really realizing the validity of their music that they make on the side, or their baking or whatever. Anyway, I think it's cool. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more actors like Luke who can do many different things.
Lots of talents. If you get a chance during quarantine, try and find the documentary they made about their band about 5 years ago. It's definitely
cool.
worth a watch.
Okay.
keep an eye out for that one if you can find it on Amazon or something. Go back to the movie then. I mean, in terms of your character, I mean, what drew you to her over maybe other characters that you've read kind of scripts for? I mean, was she someone that appealed to you even without the fact that your dad was going to be in it? Was she appealed to you otherwise?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I would never actually desire to work in enforcing laws on anyone, but I've always loved law, and I did debate for a long time. I was really serious with it. I've always been really fascinated with that stuff, but never really wanted to actually pursue it as my career. But the idea of playing the DA was really exciting to me, because that's my like total fantasy, is like, you know, wearing a suit and yelling at people. I loved the idea of playing a DA, and also of having like a young woman play that part, regardless of the fact that it was me. But the idea of like having this character of like a young woman who is really smart and you know, she's learned so much like from watching her dad in the same broad field, and sort of had her own relationship to law enforcement, and then grew up to do that. So I thought it was a really cool character, like aside from all of the other things.
Yeah, and it's obviously a movie, you know, it's an action movie, it's a crime movie, it's a thriller, all those kind of things, but it's got a great, your relationship and also other relationships, there's a real kind of heart to the movie. Did that surprise you, given that it's quite, you know, it's quite a big kind of action spectacular in many ways?
No, it didn't surprise me. I think like the especially like from my first conversation with the filmmakers, that was really central to like their sort of pitch of their film. And, you know, Christian is from the desert, and he really has like a really obvious, like such a deep love of that community that really comes through in the movie. Even like the scene for the Day of the Dead parade, that was not near the Day of the Dead, but that was the real people in the town, and everyone was so excited to dress up, and they were like, should we do it again? And they did this parade over and over and over. And everyone did their own makeup and costume, and got the, you know, that was like they were extras in the movie, but they really, and you can feel that in the movie, that he has such a love for the community, and the community like responded so lovingly to the movie. And yeah, so I feel like that was an undercurrent of the film as well, like just his love of the Coachella Valley and the stories of the Coachella Valley.
Yeah. In terms of like when you were younger, was it always an ambition of yours to be an actor, despite obviously what your parents did? I mean, it can't help but rub off in a little way, I guess, being that your mum and dad do this for a living. But was it a natural thing for you that you wanted to do it? It wasn't kind of not forced upon you, but you kind of got a sense of it when you were younger that that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've always known that's what I wanted to do, but to be honest, like when I was really younger, I think the fact that my family were actors made it sort of unappealing and overwhelming for me to get it into like the public business of it. I don't feel that way anymore, but I think I used to. But yeah, I mean, I've always known like what my skills are, which are like, you know, I'm like very physically sensitive. I love to perform, and I love like to where, you know, I love to be on stage and perform, whether it's like debate or what. I always have. And I also have always loved like reading and critical, reading comprehension, like in school. Like I always loved analyzing characters and doing historical research and learning about different times. And I've also always loved just like the history of culture and like, yeah, so I think acting became the only option that brought everything that I'm good at into one thing, you know, and that was able to unify what seems like really disparate things, like analyzing the text and like having this visceral impact of the experience. I think it's the only thing that you can do if you want to do both of those things.
Yeah, and like obviously for you, I guess obviously there's lots of people out there whose parents are actors, and actors of whether they're big on the stage or big in film and everything else. But your dad wasn't just he was in two of the most iconic films, or a few iconic films over the few decades that he's been doing this. You know, he was Batman for a lot of people, which is insane. And then he was in Top Gun, and he was in Tombstone, and he played Jim Morrison. I mean, it must have been, was it strange when you were younger finding out that your dad had played all these things, and not just that, but played something as iconic as Batman?
No, I think that you just, as a child, like you just are used to like whatever people tell you. I remember that it was strange that I realized that other people's parents only had one thing that they did forever. And I was like, all year? Like, I remember being like, you have to wear the same thing on. Like, I remember realizing it, but it was kind of a reverse process to like what you described. Like, I just was always, especially when you're a kid, when you're like a young child, everything is like fantasy cartoon world. So I was like, of course my dad is wearing a Batman outfit. Like, everything is like Batman, you know? And then it was more that I realized other people's parents had a very different life. That was what really blew my mind later on.
One question I've always wanted to ask children of actors, is it strange now when you're, not so much when you were younger, but older now, that you see the movies and stuff that they've done? They've had such rich and diverse careers, and just what abilities they have, and how they've kind of hit audiences all over the world with such diverse kind of characters and done so many amazing things.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to watch their films now. I mean, I always feel like I'm the closer you are with someone, like, the more it's like a double thing. Like, the more I can actually really appreciate their acting. And I feel this way with friends too that are actors. Like, when I see them do really good work, I can tell, like, oh, that's false, because I know them so well, or I can tell, like, whatever. I think, but then you also, in a movie, it's hard to believe it in the same way, because you know that they're crafting, but it becomes an even cooler thing than actually believing the suspension of disbelief. It becomes like art, you know? So, but I think when I was a kid, I would be like, I didn't want to watch my parents' movies, because I'd be like, oh, their accent sounds really bad, because I know what their actual accent. And now that when I was like 8 years old, I would be like, I couldn't believe the movie, so I didn't want to watch. And also, they don't want to. That's the last thing they want to have on in the house, you know?
Yeah, of course. And they've obviously been in movies together. You know, they were obviously in a couple of movies together, which is even more bizarre. Particularly Willow, which is one of my favorites from when I was a kid. So
love Willow. I love Kill Me Again with Michael Madsen. Amazing styling and costumes.
Yeah, your dad was the first Batman I saw in the cinema when I was a kid.
Cool.
I hadn't seen the other two before, obviously he came in, but in '95 I was like a young teenager, so he was the first kind of Batman I ever saw on the big screen. So that was a strange experience. Before I was just very, very quickly, before I ask you about yourself, how is your dad? How's he doing and everything? Because obviously I know that
he's good. I mean, he's had he's had surgery on his throat, and he always says he sounds worse than he feels, which is true. And he has, some limitations of speech and stuff because of that. But thankfully he is such a skilled actor, and he's literally trained in like vocal work, so he can, he's been able to really like circumvent a lot of the challenges of that. And he also like is so good at communicating physically as well, like because of his craft. So, I think he always kind of feels like the fact that he's an actor really like has helped him with this.
Yeah. Just as a final question, and for yourself as an actress, I mean, is there things you want to accomplish? Are there kind of things you want to do? Is movies the way you want to go forward, or is theatre a big draw for you, or would you just rather try and do as much as you can of both?
I think as much as I can of both, but I love the theater. I really, really, that's what I really, really love. And I think just the process of getting to do a piece from beginning to end and really like live through the arc of the play at once is so rewarding. And also to have the visceral connection to the audience. I love that for those reasons. And then I also love the movies. But it's a totally different experience, and it's not actually as immediately rewarding to me. But then even just like the locations, finding like the location scouting and the lighting and watching all of these separate things come together is so magical. So I really like doing both. I want to do more film this year. And yeah, I was just saying, I really want to do more stuff in the UK. Because my mom's British. So I'm British citizen, and I really miss it there so much, and I really want to do that. I think it's a really exciting time that no one knows what's going to happen right now, so there's a lot of freedom. So
yeah, did you have anything lined up before, or have you got anything lined up now, or has the break kind of, because we've done so many of these interviews that obviously we've spoken to so many different actors, and they're all either we're in between jobs, or we're about to start a job and haven't been able to, or just waiting for the next, to go back to work. I mean, it must be it's a strange time for everybody, but a strange time nevertheless.
Absolutely. I mean, I in the beginning of quarantine, I was doing a lot of plays on Zoom with friends, and that was really fun. And I think, yeah, like I've been trying to stay really busy, like in that way, and to organize like little things and like remote things. And I've been working on music and whatever I can do like on my own, and also like audio stuff. I want to do more just in the quarantine, like more voiceovers and audiobooks and things like that. So I've been trying to work on that stuff and try to use this as an opportunity to like be guided towards new areas of acting.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with the film.
Thank you.
And stay safe. Hope it cools down soon.
Thank you. So nice talking to you.
You too. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey, you